All right. Chris, we good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Inside with Outsiders, and today's guest is creative director Hans Campbell, an old friend of mine, met in nightlife, and now we're sitting outside in the cold, learning about his life. Thanks for being here, man.
It is nice to be here. Cold, but not that cold.
Not that cold, exactly. Well, in the spirit of Outsiders, we've done this show outdoors, and this is the first one we're doing in the snow. So I appreciate you deciding to brave the elements and be out here.
Yes. I'm not mad at it. We're in Jersey right now.
Jersey City, yeah.
And I'm feeling it.
Where you're originally from Jersey, though, right?
Well, let's not slow your roll. Slow your roll. Born in New York, but then raised.
How old were you when you moved to Jersey?
3.
Okay.
Newark,
Oh,
New
really?
Jersey.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I'm official in these streets.
Are your parents from Jersey?
No. My mom is from Barbados.
Okay.
And my dad is from Jamaica.
Oh. Damn, you know, that's heavy ass. We got a Caribbean man sitting in the snow being interviewed.
Yeah, so then they moved here, into Queens, had me, and then 3 years later, we're in Jersey.
Okay, so how'd you like growing up in Jersey? What part of Jersey? I mean, you were Newark, but you didn't stay growing up there.
No, Newark was crazy. Crack hit.
Yeah.
And my parents weren't with the crack at
This was
all.
in 1980, right? 80s?
Let's not date me crazy, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, so crack hit. My parents were like, absolutely not. And then we went from Newark to in the middle of the woods in a place called Hackettstown.
Okay.
H Tizzy, shout out, Hood in the Woods.
How old were you when you moved there?
I was 4 or 5 years old.
Okay, gotcha.
So Newark wasn't a long time, literally just 1 year.
I was going to ask you what the culture shock was like, but you didn't know.
I have no idea.
So what was it like growing up in Hackettstown? You told me stories, but let's talk about it.
Honestly, I had a great childhood. It was I had a lot of friends. We rode bikes. We broke windows with stones.
Right.
We did typical suburb living. It was great. I stayed there from pretty much K to the end of high school, and throughout the whole time was pretty cool. There was only like a very small little piece where we used to have to fight a lot of fighting.
In Hackettstown?
Yeah, because they're skinheads.
Really? In Jersey?
Yeah. Yeah. So we had to beat up skinheads.
They didn't take a liking to the black guy named
No,
Hans?
hate is actually the word.
Yeah.
Hate. And so, I learned how to fight by beating up skinheads. But that was a small moment. And then, funny enough, I feel like between Dr. Dre, Beastie Boys, and Wu-Tang Clan, they switched all the skinheads into becoming like hip-hop dudes.
Really? Oh my God. Well,
So like all those dudes you see at like the Wu-Tang shows,
Yeah.
those guys probably at one point in time, if they grew up in the burbs, were like skinhead dudes.
So you're in music now. Music is a huge part of your life. It's your profession.
Pretty much everything.
When
yes.
was the point you realized like you wanted to work in music? Was it then?
It was the power of music. No, it actually happened. It was a series of accidents. I think the first one was my dad bought me a keyboard when I was 9 years old, and I took piano lessons.
Your choice or your parents?
My parents' choice, and I hated it.
Oh, okay.
I thought, okay, that's how we do it.
That goes off every hour. Sorry, I can't even silence it at this point.
So, he bought me a keyboard, and he wanted me to play piano, but at the time I thought piano was absolutely lame. I wanted nothing to do with it at all. But I think somewhere in there, music got into my mind.
Yeah.
Fast forward about 4 years later, I'm going into high school, and we're picking electives. I actually picked art. I did not pick music as my
Visual arts.
Correct, visual arts.
Why'd you choose that?
I don't know. I was just picking stuff. I had no idea.
Right.
And one of my homies hit me up after school, after we'd picked electives, and he's like, you should have joined choir. And I'm like, why should I join choir? And he's like, there's mad girls in here, and he named like. There was one shorty in particular that was in there that I was really feeling, and he was like, at the end of the year, we go on a trip to Virginia Beach, and I'm like, wait a second, all these girls are in here, and I get to go to Virginia Beach?
Had you ever sang at that point?
No, I had no, I didn't know.
Of course you didn't.
I only played the piano.
Yeah, and you were what, 14 this time?
This is 13.
Motivated by hormones. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So switched out the elective, joined choir, and there was a teacher in there. His name was Mr. Whitty, and I don't know if it was because I was loud. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something, and he immediately had me join up for the after-school program. And between...
By that, do you mean detention?
No. There was a lot of that too, but not there.
Gotcha. It was just a second.
So he had me join the after-school program, and between that and the choir that I was in, I just started developing a thing for singing.
Yeah.
And eventually, I got good enough where he was like, yo, I'm going to give you a solo.
Well, let me ask you, you hadn't sang before, now you're in this choir singing. You weren't, there were no nerves? You weren't embarrassed? Like,
Terrible.
I was in a couple of school plays when I was younger, and then I was like, this seems fun. Let me try out for something in the city. I tried out for something like, okay, your turn to sing. I'm like, it's not happening. I couldn't sing. I mean, my voice, I just can't sing.
Being a musician is embarrassing. Mm-hmm. I always tell anybody that I'm working with or whoever that it's like starting, no matter where I meet them, being a musician is embarrassing. Like, you have to get to a point where that's not a thing for you anymore. But being a musician is embarrassing. Like, there's no way around that.
Well, when you found the choir and obviously he recognized talent, did you feel like you found your people? It was like you felt you fit in now with this group because you belong there?
Yeah, so I think somewhere around so that was my freshman year. I think somewhere around my junior year, this same teacher, he actually got sick and he was gone for a couple months, and the piano teacher that I had back when I was 9 was the substitute teacher.
Okay.
And she was like, wow, you've grown so much as a musician. I'd picked piano back up again. And she's like, you could actually do this for real. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you could do this for real. She's like, if you let me train you, I could get you into school. Like, this could be a thing. So I was like, all right, because I don't know what else I'm going to do.
Right.
Like,
I'm just probably too young to really know.
Yeah. So she started training me, and once she started training me, and then also with me getting even more involved in the choir, I definitely think I found my lane. And at that point I was like, all right, let me take this very, very seriously. And that's when I kind of started buckling down and associating myself with people who were very serious with music.
My question was, you did answer part of my question, but prior to the chorus, who were your people? Who were you hanging out with? Who did you feel connections with? They were I know you played football. Was it the jocks? Was it the? Or were you kind of
So funny enough, everybody was in the choir. Everybody wanted that Virginia Beach trip. So it only happened every other year. So the freshman year it happened. Our junior year it was scheduled to happen again, and everybody wanted to join. So everyone joined the choir. So it became the cool thing, because it wasn't
the choir was cool in your school.
It was cool in my school.
Wow.
So jocks were in it. Everybody was in it. People were there all for this particular trip. So it made things a lot easier, because I was not your typical choir singer at all.
Explain why. Explain why.
I mean, I was, we were wilding. We were drinking, we were smoking at a very early age. We were young.
This was choir. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I assume choir the choir nerds.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
We remixed it. You know what I mean? We definitely turned it into something else. And we used to drink, we would smoke, we'd go high, and then we'd go and sing. And honestly, it was some of the most fun I'd had.
Really?
Yeah.
So you reached, you said junior years when you kind of really embraced the choir culture and surrounded yourself with these people.
Yes.
Where did it take you from there?
Once my parents were told that oh, I could get into school for this and I could do it as a profession, everything was focused on that. So then my junior and senior, I doubled up. You got 2 electives, so you could be like, home ec or whatever. I just did choir, and all the after school programs and everything, and took piano and was doing lessons outside of school.
But what was your goal? I mean, your future being in music, your career looked like what? An artist, a teacher? What?
I didn't think of, at the time, there was no goal. At the time, I was like, I think I'll be good enough to get into school, and I like doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very
you also come from a Caribbean family, so obviously the importance of career and future is laid heavy on kids. What would your parents think?
They were like, as long as you go to college and get a degree, we'll let you rock. We don't care what. Just go to school. You're not gonna not go to school.
So you obviously do really well in the choir.
Yeah.
Did you get a scholarship for music?
Yeah, so I got a little bit of cash. And then got right into, well, actually I took 1 year off because at the time my teacher was like, you need a year. You're not going to get into a music conservatory with the skill set, the level that you're at. You need a year. So I went to county school. And then once I did that year of county plus working with her, then I went to Rutgers, got a little bit of cash, and then got right in.
Okay.
And
what was the program?
It was a BFA, so that's the Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Yeah.
And
concentration
in vocal performance, and it was I was doing classical and opera.
Real. You were an opera singer.
Pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't. It's hard to say that I was a full-blown opera singer. I'll say I was a classical vocalist who did opera also.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to be, because I always hear people throw on the terminology like, I'm classically trained, and I'm like, a few Beethoven songs. That's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like real classically trained, there's levels to the shit.
And this is at Rutgers, New Brunswick, which is actually where I really met you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was before nightlife.
I was hanging out with a friend of mine, or mutual friends. And shout out to Jade Murtha. It's college, bro. and I think I was hanging out the next day after the party. You walked in the house, and we were just talking. I can't remember how long the conversation was.
Yeah, I was actually at the time. I was still at Rutgers. I was at the music conservatory. It's called Mason Gross, and I had met this dude named Dave, and he had a group named Pedal Shot, and I was working with them. It's like the first group I ever worked with.
What kind of music they play?
It was hip hop and rock combined.
I was gonna say the Pedal Shop sounds like a.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of those guys.
Did they make it?
They almost made it. We got very, very close. Yeah. And that was the first like serious situation I'd ever really worked with. I'd been interning at record labels and stuff like that, but that was the first one that I actually like had a job.
And what were you doing? Oh, that's the first time you had a job. What were you doing? I'm sure you had other side jobs, or were you didn't have to when you were in college?
When I always worked. Like, we were getting, my freshman year I didn't work. Freshman year at Rutgers, but we used to have house parties a lot because we weren't of age. And we used to just get into fights all the time. And like, I was fighting all the time. So my boy was just like, you should just work at a club as a bouncer.
Yeah.
So my first gig at Rutgers was working as a bouncer.
Okay.
And I would also get hired by the fraternities to be a bouncer for them too.
Really?
Yeah, I used to, I had a real crazy...
Which is the opposite of the Hans we know now. It's true. We met in Rutgers, but we really connected at Lotus when you were working there. But
I don't think... I was always like a happier type person, but I just had I used to throw my fists a little bit, you know.
I've never seen that.
No, there's mad people who have not seen, you've never seen me sing opera, you know what I mean? Like, there's a whole life to me.
This man is so diverse. Opera singing fighter. That's what we have to name this episode, Opera Singing Fighter. I was just doing that,
And then I met a gentleman in New Brunswick who also, his name is, Mike Bailey.
Yeah, of course. I saw Mike the other day.
So Bailey was living in Jersey at the time, or still lives. I don't think he ever moved to the city.
Thank you, Chris. It's getting cold.
Yep.
A rare appearance by the man, Chris, aka Bams.
So Bailey was like, yo, you could, I think you might be cool to work at Lotus, you know what I mean? Like, come work there. And at the time, this was like years in the making, because prior to that, I was interning and then got a job at Warner Brothers.
In Manhattan?
In Manhattan as a A&R talent scout.
Okay.
So I was singing classically, I was working at a record label, and I was bouncing at a local bar in New Brunswick and just commuting in and out. And then finally, the music industry was going through that weird time, because it was that like Napster-y.
Yeah. When they went from actually making royalties to then having to figure out.
So they fired everybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who got fired were the people who were my bosses. So I never got fired, but my whole team got fired. So eventually it was just like, okay, well, no one here, you don't work for anybody here anymore, sorry. Right. So then I was like, all right, you know what? Let me figure out what plan 2 is. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be singing opera professionally anymore.
Well, you're singing opera professionally then?
I wouldn't say professionally.
Where?
I would say semi-professionally. A couple places. The crowning achievement of my career, I got to sing at Lincoln Center. I got to sing at Carnegie Hall, both.
Really?
So
as part of the choir?
As part of a choir.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But still, like,
Wait, there's another crown moment for you as part of the choir at Rutgers. You mentioned that on the way here.
So we did, it was called the Sacred, what was it called? The Sacred Choirs or the Sacred Service. It was Jewish prayers. We spent a semester learning Jewish prayers, and then that summer we met up with a composer by the name of Samuel Adler, and his choir plus the Rutgers University choir joined, and we performed the Sacred Service, and it got nominated and won a Grammy.
So he's a Grammy winner through a choir, excuse me. For
Picture him throwing somebody in the bar going, "Ah!"
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, at least you can project your voice before it ever gets to the point of a fight escalating.
Correct.
So you lose your job, you're up to plan B because you're not sure if you're gonna sing opera again. So what was the plan B?
There was no plan B. I was actually, at that point now, mind you, like 24 years old. I had been singing consistently every single day for 10 years. And like for the last maybe 4 years, almost like at a very intense rate. And I'd put all my chips into this classical bag, which I wasn't like, I thought was cool, but it wasn't one I wanted to do professionally at all.
Right.
And
Did you know what you wanted to do professionally?
No.
Okay.
And the industry had crashed on me. And everybody went to like fashion or whatever. So I started working nightlife. That's how I got it. That's when I finally took Mike up on the offer to do work.
And
at
it was
Lotus.
funny. The first gig, the first venue you work at is probably at the time the most prestigious venue in New York.
Yes.
For years.
And honestly, the reason I'm at where I'm at now, some of that is based off of the people who I met then.
Oh, for sure. Same for me.
And it's like I was getting more connections and hookups through Lotus than I was when I was working directly for the label.
I mean, let's be honest. Everybody walked through those doors. Everybody. And you had access to them. Matter of fact, you were doing security, but you eventually started doing the door. So you're the gatekeeper.
Correct. And at that point, and it's the irony to that is, even though it gave me the access, I started seeing people who were my peers.
Right.
And they'd popped. Cats had broke, started working with artists or were artists and had became, pretty successful. And at some point in time, one of my boys who I'd started working with that I hadn't seen in a while, he came out to hang out for like some after party, whatever. He was like, Hans, what's up? And I was like, nothing, I'm here chilling. He's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm working the door at one of the hottest clubs in New York City. What are you talking about? He's like, nah, bro. He's like, you need to, I'm gonna set you up. Come with me. And I was like, I'm good, bro. I'm making like, back in those days, you making 5 on the books. You probably making 5 off the books.
Yeah.
You working 3 nights a week, making 3 racks. This is early 2000s. You making 3 racks in a week, 3 nights a week. And you're 25?
That's the equivalent of like 7,000-8,000 right now?
Right. Yeah. And your rent's a G. I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm buying sneakers, I'm going out, I'm hanging out with people.
Spending responsibly.
I was bait head to toe.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like straight lace at all these spots. And I'm thinking I'm lit because I'm making decent money. And he was like, nah, bro. He's like, he's like, what's the ceiling of this?
Exactly.
And at first I thought he was an asshole. I was pissed that he even was challenging me. I'm like, bro, you ain't shit. And then eventually I was like, all right, bro, what you got for me?
Yeah.
He's like, come to the studio. He's like, last I saw you, wasn't you doing all this classical music and shit? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I got 5 artists I'm working with. He's like, come to the studio and do what you learned. Whatever you learned, teach them. And let's just see where it goes. And that's how it started. I started working with artists, vocal coaching, vocal producing, whatever I could do. It all started vocals. Just let me see if I can just figure out how to make this make sense.
And you were still doing nightlife at the time? Because you did it for
a good while. I went into the teens, 2010s.
Yeah, so let's say 10 years.
And then I just built up from there. You start off making no money or a little bit of money, and then you just learn.
When did you let go of nightlife and go right into all into music? Because I don't think there was any safety net job in between, was there?
No, I think my last stop was at the Jimmy rooftop, and I had been able to make enough money doing the door that I only had to work 2 days a week, and it was just weekends. So that was the perfect transition. And I was actually gonna give up. Because once again, I don't know that I could advise my path for other people.
Right, yeah.
A matter of fact, I can't advise it because it's one of those things where you have to know individually. I couldn't tell somebody to do what I did. You wouldn't have the heart to do it. You'd have quit. So I was about to. This is maybe 2015. I was gonna, and one of my homies hit me, who I'd worked with before, and he said, yo, one of the big dogs at Atlantic Records heard about you working with artists, and they want you to come and work with some of their artists and help and develop. And I was just about to be like, I don't care anymore. I just got my real estate license.
Oh yeah, you went that route. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I'm about to shift out of this. I'm gonna go there. My dad had some things going on that I could get into. I was about to just
I remember you telling me about your dad's real estate stuff.
And I was about to shift and deal with our properties, plus maybe become an investor, plus do whatever. That was gonna be my move. And I was like, you know what? Atlantic Records, I didn't care. I was like, sure. So this young lady, her name was Lon Ray, she hit me, and she was like, but I think that if it had happened 3 years prior, I would have been too I want this. When I took the call, I was like, whatever. So she's like, hey, I got these artists I'm working with. Would you be into coming and working with them? I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. But I could care less. And then she's like, okay. And then she told me how much and for how long it would be. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I should take this a tad bit more seriously.
Yeah.
And then that was the thing. That was people talk about that one opportunity or that one thing or that one shot that was There was many little ones, but that was the one. Because then it was like, okay, now this thing you do is being stamped by a record label.
Right.
You know, and over the years from that time, I probably put like 30 artists underneath my belt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd say the biggest one was Ed Sheeran. That was like kind of like the crowning.
What did you do for Ed Sheeran?
I worked with his musical director. We put a choir together, and we did one of his shows at the Barclays Center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like that was like, okay, a crowning achievement.
So that gave you the confirmation that this is something you can do professionally and live off of it.
I think I can't say for everybody, but for me, I'd already felt that way. I just needed that one thing that elevated it to the next level. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you've done some big shit. Because in entertainment, I feel like you need that thing that you don't have to explain yourself anymore. I used to have to tell this story to get a job.
Right.
I don't tell this story anymore. I just rattle off 4 names and they're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you need those things as you elevate in the industry to move to the next level.
Okay. So, where are you now with all this?
So now,
Yeah.
now, I mean, there's another level, right? So now it's like, okay, I've worked in this. Now I can say I work in the music industry.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know if this is in every industry, but I think in the music industry, there's a certain like level you have to get to even people take that seriously.
Right.
I think now I can say that and people are like, oh yeah, he definitely works in the music industry. So my next thing is to build and do things that I'm like very, very proud of.
I mean, I have to say what you did with Daniel Caesar was incredible.
That I think of the stuff that I've done to date. I mean, there's obviously
And it's the
some
first
other
thing
ones.
I witnessed firsthand.
Yeah.
I felt happy enough to be able to help you with that. And when I say help you, just to give you a helping hand at the event.
It was help. It was definitely help.
But yeah, that was incredible. I mean, the production level. I had never doubted you were doing big things. It wasn't like, oh wow, well, he's actually doing legit. I knew you were doing legit stuff, but
it's different to see it.
It's different to see. But also, that show was different.
Yes.
That show was really different. I mean, I feel comfortable saying that, even though I hadn't seen other big projects of yours, because that thing just struck me as an incredible, different thing that you achieved. You achieved a new experience.
And I think that's where I'm at now is like, I mean, the bag, right? Like the I'm good bag financially is obviously one of them.
Let's pause right here and let's restart.
So obviously the bag. I put something on Instagram the other day that said it's a blessing to be able to pay your bills solely with just music stuff.
Yes.
And so to be able to do that and like not feel like I have to eat what I kill to be able to be comfortable enough to actually do that entrepreneurially is a major accomplishment. So now it's like, okay, I can do that. Can I get to the next level, which is like be really good financially? And then, like you said with the Daniel Caesar thing, do projects that I'm really, really proud of. Mm-hmm. Work with artists that I really, really think are amazing. You know what I mean? I have that ability now to be in those conversations. So that's where things are right now.
All right, you're painting an idea of what you want to do, but do you have any concrete projects you say you're like, this artist, this kind of project? I mean, you can give away. I don't know if you want to give away ideas.
There's some things obviously I can't speak on yet for like whatever reasons because the projects haven't been announced or whatnot. I was lucky enough recently, besides Daniel Caesar, to work with Justin Bieber. I just recently did in Tokyo, and I was lucky enough also over the last 2 years to work with Kanye. And so, like, those right there, those three between Daniel Caesar, Bieber, and then Kanye, like, I'm already good on, like...
And you're working on the show aspect, right? So entertainment value?
So, it depends. It's getting to a place now where I'm like, put me in, coach. I initially started off as a musical director once things started elevating, right? Like I went from like vocals to musical director. Now it's turned into production side. So I'm actually helping to put together the live show. Sometimes it's audio, sometimes it's actually building things. It depends on what role they need me in, and I just keep learning more skills.
Did you learn anything in nightlife that helps you with what you're doing now?
100%. I think doing the door in a very hostile situation with people of a certain caliber and being able to remain calm and keep that whole situation going has allowed me to deal with really, really like what would normally be very stressful situations. So like the same way I felt like at the rope doing the door, I feel like 10, 15 minutes before a show, it's the same energy.
Yeah.
And I'm able to kind of put that calm,
right?
Like, you know what I mean?
The
Like
energy feels scary and great at the same time.
At the same time.
Because there's something to risk.
Yes.
And to be honest, it's that feeling like you feel alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so nightlife definitely helped with that.
I got that feeling. I promoted nightclubs and produced entertainment events, the concerts, all that stuff for just over 15 years. And I have to say, every single time an event happened over 15, I had that feeling.
Yes.
Every single time.
And that's why I told you, and we've talked about this.
I have that even more now with Outsiders because there's a lot more to risk. I mean, there's a lot of safety you have to take care of, but yeah.
And I've told you before, I was like, I think you would actually be really, really good in the role of like tour management or that thing, because a lot of the same skill sets cross over. And so that's what I started to notice is like in the production space, I'm like, oh, a lot of my skill sets here work here. And so even with like recently with the Justin Bieber thing, he has a brand named Skylark. The music side of it was very small. It was mostly clothing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the same level of production that we need to do for a live show, we're just bringing that here and applying it to the artist's product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to their music. It's still all very artist facing, but sometimes the tasks are different.
Yeah.
Just bringing over the same skill sets. So, and that's where I'm at right now. I think sometimes what happens, and you know this because you do 1,000,001 things, people try to put you in a box and label you as blank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Well, especially when you're hired for a service, right?
Yes.
And then you think you just do that service. And for me, thankfully, I have Outsiders, and now they don't even know what box to put me in.
They don't know what box to put you.
Yeah.
Right. People are like, what are you doing? And like, if I'm doing whatever that needs to get done, I'm trying to get it done. If somebody asks me to do something, I'll learn it and I'll do it to the best of my ability.
Right.
So, because I don't think there is such a thing as a box.
Right.
You should be able to do whatever you want to do. This, in my mind, this life that we have is for creating whatever we want.
Yeah.
And so, if you're really living in that space, and I will say that's one thing about this dude, Ye, that he really implants in you, which is like, and that's why I think anybody who touches him then becomes whoever afterwards. But the one thing I think he like really implanted in my mind is like, whatever you can think of and create is you can actually do.
Right. That's something I've always felt, but recently, and I approached you about a project, now it's like, all right, you're the vessel for these creative ideas. And if you don't execute them, well, that creative idea is going to go somewhere else who's going to execute.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just have to be like, all right. You really have to, it sounds simple, but you really have to be like, why not me?
Right. Well, what is the advice you would give somebody who is aspiring to get into music, whatever aspect of music? What would you give them? What kind of advice?
I think the first thing I would say is, do you really want this? I'd have like a real, I don't know.
Did someone ask you that when you were a kid?
Yes.
Okay.
I had my opera professor and vocal coach. He's like, do you really want to be in music? And I said, yes. He's like, do you really want to be an opera singer? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, that's the wrong answer. He's like, then you don't want to be.
Right.
And that's the first thing I would do. I have to suss them out.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because this thing there's no path. There's a lot of no's.
Right.
There's so many no's. And, people hear this and go, yeah, I get it. There's so many no's that, like, the level of stubbornness and craziness that it takes to get over all the no's, you have to be 100% positive that this is something that you want to do. And that's the only advice I would give at the beginning is, like, you gotta be 100% positive.
Yeah.
That's it. Because the road to get to where you're trying to get to is gonna be filled with everyone telling you you can't do it.
Right. So now that you're establishing yourself as no more imposter syndrome, you're really believing it now.
Still some.
Well, that's maybe healthy to have a little bit, make you work harder. But what do you do for fun when you're not working? When you've established, okay, I just came back from Japan working with Bieber. I have some money right now. I need a little break, a little reprieve from work. Who am I calling? What am I doing? Like, what do you do?
So this is gonna sound crazy. I actually thought about this the other day. I have to reconnect and learn to enjoy and have fun again. I feel like anything that you like, I feel like my mind has been so focused on this one thing for so long, and to kind of prove to everybody that I could do it at a high level.
Yeah.
That even if it wasn't messing with me, I felt almost guilty to have a lot of fun, I felt like I was slacking.
Right.
And so now that I've like kind of reached a certain level, by no means like top level, but a certain level, I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I missed a lot. I missed weddings. I missed my friends, this, that, and the third. I didn't go out here. I didn't do this. There was like a lot of things.
And a lot of that's very common in nightlife.
Yes.
You're missing all your social.
You're missing all, because you work
unless you're hosting it. But that's about it. And if you're hosting, you're still working.
So what ended up happening is a lot of my friends end up just being in these spaces, either nightlife or in entertainment, right? Some of them combined both. And a lot of the people that weren't in those circles, I lost touch with.
Yeah.
And so recently I've been like, you know what? I need to start working on reconnecting. Even like coming here, I was gonna not do it. But I said, I made a promise.
Yeah.
Get your ass up and go.
You also told me you're going to wild out on the podcast. I'm going to make this so memorable. Everybody comes on, it's really chill. I'm going to wild out. I'm still waiting. I'm going to like roll around in the snow or something.
Well, the questions are like very, these are good questions. You're a good host. So I thought I was gonna be crazy, but this is actually very,
I want to know what crazy would look like. Well, maybe I don't, but yeah.
So I think the goal is actually to start figuring out what that looks like. What does that look like in your 40s?
Well, it's true, because I made this realization about a year ago, more than a year ago, but really a year ago, when it's like, what do I do for fun that's not going out to, not outsiders, of course, it's work, not going out to a bar, not to a dance. Like, what am I doing? I love working out, I love playing basketball, but that's, I went to the Met Opera. I went to,
let's go, man.
I went to like various different concerts. I went to,
Yeah, we did
art installation.
Shakespeare in the Park,
We did
remember?
Shakespeare in the Park as well. I mean, and you know what? I'm cool with trying. I mean, I'm a creative. I consider myself creative.
100%.
I love the arts. Like I grew up with my mom taking my brother and I to different things, like different museums, different shows. So that brings me joy. And entertainment in different realms that I'm not necessarily so familiar with anymore, I'm open to. And even like dinner parties and things like that. Like I love being able to connect through friends of friends and stuff like that. That brings me joy now.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at. I'm trying. I'm not. I don't want to say the word trying. I hate that, but I'm working on seeing what fun looks like at 40.
Right.
In my 40s.
Right.
40, I wish. In my 40s. And just like you said, you know, maybe it's dinner parties. Maybe it's still going out. You know, maybe
in a different capacity.
In a different capacity.
And I also realize, by hearing what you're saying, what really brings me joy is bringing the people who I like to have around me and doing creative projects.
Yes.
We're doing something right now. Well, we're working on something. Chris and I have this, but we're also working on something else. Not necessarily the most creative, but it could be, two things that might be creative. But that brings me joy because I get to hang out with people and build and collectively figure out the puzzle.
Correct. And I think that's a piece to the career thing too that you said now that you're saying it that I'm thinking about, which is like working with people you like to work with. I think there's a point in time when you're grinding that you don't really have that option, right? You're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then you get to a certain level where you're like, I don't have to work with you.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, you never did.
You never really did.
Yeah, but you don't realize
You don't realize that.
Yeah.
But when you do, you're like, okay, I can just work with people who I like to work with. I don't even have to necessarily like them per se, but I like working with them. They're good at their job.
Right.
And we can get them, whatever the mission is, accomplished. Mm-hmm. And then same thing with my personal life, I need to do a better job of reconnecting with my family. Like, we're cool. We're super cool. No drama. But we're just like cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to reconnect. There's a lot of old friends.
Yeah.
I'm going to reconnect.
Yeah.
That's something I put on the list is just like getting that done. Fireman.
Oh yeah. Saving our lives. My feet are getting cold now. My hands are getting cold. But this is nice. I mean, this is about being an outsider right here. Something about being outdoors is calming. And again, like we're talking about finding things we enjoy. I really found, obviously I like being outside since I was a kid for a number of reasons, but really embracing having open sky over your head and something special about that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be part of it too. It's like get out of the city. Even recently when I was in Japan. Normally when I travel places, I'm working so hard that the place that I'm in, no matter what it is, I don't get an opportunity to enjoy the space because I'm like, I have to get up, I have to do all this work. I'm gonna be working 12 to 14 hour days.
Right.
Like, only thing I'm thinking about is sleep. And this particular time, I was like, no, I'm gonna go party.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go see Tokyo. I'm gonna go have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this dude, Bieber was at One Oak.
Yeah, I saw that.
Normally, I would have been like, I'm going back to my Airbnb.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I was like, you know what? How many times am I going to be in Tokyo and have the opportunity to hang out at One Oak?
Well, here's the realization I made. It was our job to be out in these environments, these crazy experiences. And when it stops being that, you have to make an effort to be part of that. It doesn't mean the parties and so on, but to be social, to be to find these experiences.
Yes.
And that I realized that with Outsiders, like when I stopped nightlife and started doing Outsiders, Outsiders is on weekends, and I don't always do the Outsiders anymore.
Yeah.
I have my team. So then I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I calculated it one day. There's like 4 to 5 levels of friends that you lose. Because I was like, okay, you work at a job, right? Mm. You have the people you work with.
Yeah.
That's one level of friend. Then you work at the job, right? And then you have the people that come there. That's another level of friends.
Yeah.
Then you work at the job, and then there's people who work that you're friends, that you're already cool with, that work at a job similar to you.
Right.
You go visit them. That's 3 levels of friends. Then you go to that spot, and the people who are regulars there. So that's like 4 sets of people you just meet just by working at one spot.
Yeah.
And when you leave that
It's lonely
environment,
as an entrepreneur. It's like,
you don't have any of that anymore.
But think about this, like, yeah, especially if you're the boss, you're the leader, right?
Yes.
Then people look to you for the answers. You're not necessarily part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
You're the leader of the community. So, lonely at the top. I don't feel like I'm at the top in that regard, but lonely at the top is in lonely as a leader sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
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 You don't have to put more on. I think we're coming close to wrapping up. Yeah. So you walked us through your life and give us like this career path and so on. And you talked about the next step, which I'm pretty sure you don't know exactly what that looks like just yet. Maybe creative director is the title you're looking for. Anything else you want to share about yourself that you haven't shared yet, and anything that you want to, get your last chance to wild out and say something about yourself?
Nah, I think the only thing that I'll say is, I think what I've recently been thinking about, we're going to get a little deep here. We're going to get a little deep. Listen up.
Okay. Let's do it.
Is now I'm not sure about this, right? Because I think we're in a weird threshold where biology is actually going to extend our lives longer and that we're probably going to live to probably about 140 years old.
Okay.
This is what I believe. Mm-hmm. I think we'll keep catching biological and technological things that will extend our lives.
And we'll see.
Right? But let's just say life expectancy is about 80 to 90 years old. We are pushing towards the back 9.
Yeah.
And so I think the one thing that I'm thinking about is that being that we are on the back 9 of what our lives are, my whole thing, if anyone's watching me and what I'm doing, is I'm making that back 9 to be as much of what I can create in my mind and as pleasurable and as like giving back as much and doing all the things that I was not doing. Right. Or I was very self-centered. Mm-hmm. I was on some bullshit, not only just bullshitting just in general, but also just like bullshitting myself and bigging up things and like trying to prove something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. That comes to maturity, yeah.
Yes. Where I'm at now, I'm like, now it's time to give back, live the life that I want to, be about my people, be about my girl, you know what I mean? And really start being this is kind of corny to say, but like the best version of myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On this second half of the journey.
I think to put it in short, what you mean is be able to look back and have no regrets. I didn't do this or do that. And that goes back to what we're talking about it being creative. Whatever ideas you have, man, execute them.
Yes.
Don't look back and think, man, I wish I would have done this. That's why I called you for this product. That's why you were down for it, because you had the same vision.
Yes.
So like Chris is down for these things that we're working on right now. Because God forbid we look back and think, man, I had this idea and I never did it. And I wish I did, and regret is probably one of the worst feelings ever, and I don't want to ever live with that kind of.
Listen, not every idea is gonna work, but you gotta keep throwing them shits out there, man.
Yeah.
One sticks.
Or because honestly, what else is there to do?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that there's anything else to do besides.
I don't want to be in the club anymore, so we do. Yeah, no, but yeah, building and creating, like, that's the way to be. That's why I look at people like, I admire and I feel sorry for, not really sorry for them, but people in finance, your job is just to make money. What are you creating? You're creating more wealth for others than for yourself. But I'm creating out of passion.
Yep.
And that's I think that's more fulfilling than anything else.
Yes. And that's pretty much it. It's just how far can I push this passion, and how much can I create? And exactly what you're just saying, I don't want to have to look back and be like, I didn't go for it. That's it.
Well, let's see. And I think there's a great book that I just finished reading, which I really enjoyed, called Mind Magic: The Art of the Neuroscience of Manifestation.
Mind Magic?
Mind Magic is great. So
I will check that out.
definitely recommend it. All your ideas are definitely possible as long as you will them to happen and put the work behind it. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think we got the Cliff Notes version
For now,
sure.
for now, we'll have you back on for the next chapter, and this is
Yes.
all about transitions, and that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interesting factor, the interesting points of your life. I love how you went into nightlife, and then you found your passion again in music, and
Yes.
you're thriving, and you're getting there because you're making a living on music alone. So congratulations, brother.
Well, you know what? Let's do a little.
Exactly. On that note, Hans, where can people find you?
I am on IG, on Instagram at Han Solo, HANNSSOLO, and you can find me there and hit me up. I have my email attached to that, and I also have my website attached to that.
All right. Well, Hans, I appreciate this. I got to learn more about your story. That's the best part about doing this. And to everyone else, stay tuned for the next episode. Peace. Oh, man.